6 months before she made history at Wimbledon, Eala lost the first set of a Grand Slam 6-0. 6 months later, she did that exact same scoreline to someone else, in the biggest match of her career. That's not a coincidence. That's the whole story. Start with the number that tells you how fast this happened: 140. That was Eala's world ranking roughly a year before Wimbledon 2026. By the time she walked onto the grass this June, she was ranked 29th in the world and seeded for the first time in her career at a major. A jump of over 100 spots in 12 months isn't luck. It's a career hitting its stride all at once. But rewind to January 19, 2026, because this is the part most highlight reels skip. Eala opened her Australian Open main draw debut against America's Alicia Parks. She won the first set to love, 6-0, looking every bit the better player. Then Parks flipped the match completely, taking the next 2 sets 6-3, 6-2, and Eala walked off having lost in the first round of a Grand Slam for the 3rd time in her career. It was her 4th major main draw overall, and up to that point, she had only ever made it past the first round once, at the US Open the year before. The question hanging over her, politely but persistently, was simple: could she actually close out a big match, or was she still just a talented player who occasionally caught fire? Then came the answer, delivered in pieces, all through June and July. First, Birmingham, where she won her first ever grass court title with a 3-set comeback in the final. Then Wimbledon itself, round 1 against Mexico's Renata Zarazua. A clean, almost surgical 6-1, 6-2 win in just 1 hour and 18 minutes, in which Eala never lost her serve once and converted 4 of 17 breakpoints. It didn't look like a player fighting to survive. It looked like a player working efficiently, saving something for later. Round 2 is where the real answer showed up. Her opponent was Maya Joint of Australia, who had shocked the tennis world 2 days earlier by eliminating Serena Williams. Joint also owned a psychological edge over Eala, having beaten her in the 2025 Eastbourne final. The first set went to Joint, 6-3. At that point, it looked like the same old story again. Then Eala took the second set 6-2, and in the third, she did something she had never done on this stage before. She won it 6-0, a bagel, against the player who had just knocked out a 23-time Grand Slam champion. Final score: 3-6, 6-2, 6-0. 6 months after having a 6-0 set done to her at the Australian Open, she delivered the exact same scoreline back, in the biggest moment of her career so far. With that win, she became the first Filipina in the Open era to reach the 3rd round of a Grand Slam singles tournament, and the first Filipino player of either sex to do so since 1953. That last part matters more than it sounds. Long before Eala was born, a 5'3" Filipino named Felicissimo Ampon carried the country's flag at the same tournaments. In 1952 and again in 1953, Ampon reached the quarterfinals of the French Championships at Roland Garros, and made the 3rd round of Wimbledon 3 separate times. For more than 70 years, nobody from the Philippines matched what he did on the sport's biggest stages. Eala's run through Wimbledon in 2026 put her name back in that conversation for the first time since Ampon's era. Off the court, she carried her country with her too. On the strap of her white visor, Nike had embroidered a line of Tagalog: Kapag lumago, hindi na hihinto. Once it grows, it cannot be stopped. She explained in her press conference that carrying pieces of her culture onto the court isn't costume. It's part of who she is and who she wants to become. It echoed a Sampaguita flower hair tie she'd worn during her Wimbledon debut the year before, a nod to the Philippines' national flower and the years of quiet work behind her rise. The scale of the crowd backing her caught even Eala off guard. After her first-round win over Zarazua, she admitted she was genuinely surprised to look up and see what felt like a home crowd, in a stadium where tickets are some of the hardest to get in all of sport. That kind of following doesn't build overnight. It builds match by match, country by country, from Melbourne to Dubai to Miami and now London. What came next raised the stakes even higher. Her third-round opponent was Iga Swiatek, the defending Wimbledon champion, a six-time Grand Slam winner, and someone Eala had already beaten once before, at the 2025 Miami Open. That result had been dismissed by some as a fluke, a good day on a smaller stage. Wimbledon's third round, against the reigning champion, on center court, was never going to let her hide behind that excuse again. So here's where the story actually sits. A player who lost 6-0 in January delivered that exact scoreline back in July, on the game's biggest lawn, against the day's giant killer. A seed number, 29, that didn't exist in her career a year earlier. A visor with 6 words in Tagalog that turned out to be less of a slogan and more of a preview. The Philippines waited over 70 years for someone to get back to where Felicissimo Ampon once stood. It took Alex Eala 21 years, one bad afternoon in Melbourne, and one perfect afternoon on Court 3 to get there. Whatever happens next, that part is already written.